G'day, legends, and welcome to the Celtic Down Under podcast. I'm your host, Jared, and tonight we've got a full house. There's Sean, Liam, and John on the pod. How are you, Sean?
Absolute champion, mate. Yeah, it's been great.
The special one-off intro tonight is courtesy of Sean being up at Tannadice on the weekend and recording that for us. So we'll get your thoughts on the game from being in the stadium a bit later on. But how are you, Liam?
Cloud 9, mate. Cloud 9. I'm going to say it before somebody else does.
And Johnny, how are you doing, mate?
I'm doing well, mate. I'm doing well. Nothing much changed here, so same as
You
always.
sounded much better than last week anyway, let's just say that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Do you want a history lesson on where the term Cloud 9 comes from?
Go on then.
Yes, always.
It used to be from the people that the meteorology department. There was 9 types of clouds, and the 9th one was the highest in the atmosphere. So that's why you see on Cloud 9. And then they discovered or classified the 10th type of cloud. So to keep Cloud 9 as the highest one, they called it Cloud 0.
Very right. Well, Sean, while we were giving that science lesson, we just lost like three people watching. And I had to say to be a smart ass. So thanks everyone for tuning in. We always support you. I appreciate your support and love that you get involved in the comments section for our shows. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the Celtic Down Under podcast via your podcast app. You can also find us on our YouTube channel, Celtic Down Under. Look it up, find the kangaroo, that's us. Give it a subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when we go live every Wednesday. Other than that, we'll get straight into the podcast. So on the weekend, we had Sean in the stadium. Me and Liam were representing Celtic Down Under with our partnership on the match day coverage with the guys over at the Celtic State of Mind podcast. So we're on the match day coverage. And John was probably, having some lem sip, hot water bottle, just trying to get better.
Really not far off.
Just first of all, in the comments, let us know where you're watching the game and your overall thoughts on it, and we'll get stuck into it. So, what we'll do, everyone knows, Celtic 9, Dundee United 0. Jack Ross has been sacked off the back of it. Let's start with that point. Sean, do you think that was a overreaction from Dundee United's board, a par for the course, or what are your thoughts on Jack Ross losing his job?
I don't think you come back from a 9-0, do you? Scott Parker got the same treatment. Like we all know, we've all played against Jack Ross teams in the past, and they've been much, much better than that. So obviously the players are just not responding to whatever he's selling, and at that point you do have to move on from the manager rather than buying and selling 20 players.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing, to be honest with you, for me, in terms of he's lost his job because, well, we know the way his teams line up. You go back a few years when Brendan Rodgers was involved, he was being linked as a future Celtic manager, left St Mirren, gone to Sunderland. That's been a basket case of a club for years, so you don't really pay too much attention to that. He goes to Hibs. They Hibsed it. Don't pay too much attention. I'm thinking, okay, this is his last chance to learn. He's got to make it work here. And he had Alkmaar, and then he's rolled that over into us, absolutely pumping him. I don't know. It's where do you go from here if you're Jack Ross? And the reason I'm disappointed and a little upset for him is a simple fact that we play against these teams. It's pretty much 3 points in the bag because of the way they play. So that's the reason I'm upset more than anything about it. But, yeah. Anyone got anything else they want to add on top of that? John, Liam?
I was just going to add that based on current form, losing a game 7-0 and another game 9-0 within the space for a couple of weeks, that's not good form to keep your job. But the Dundee United board are going to look a bit stupid when we do that again later in the season to somebody else. I think it doesn't look like an overreaction at the moment because it's the biggest home defeat they've ever had. But I think Celtic could easily do that or more to another team in the league this season because I don't think Dundee United are the worst team in that league. They're having a bad patch now, but I do not think they're the worst team in that league by any stretch of the imagination.
I think he'll do a Neil Lennon or Ronnie Dyla where he'll pop up overseas and do a good job somewhere.
Hopefully.
He'll probably end up in MLS or something like that. I think that'd be a good level for him. Go over there, repair his reputation, and then come back. The way Ronnie Dyla did. Yeah.
I think he's one of those my impression of him is he's one of those managers that, like many other good ones, sticks to his principles, sticks to his game style, and is unwilling to change from that. And I think if you don't have a decent enough team or decent enough squad and like depth of squad to be able to actually implement that, you end up getting beat 9-0 or 7-0. So he needs to say, I just don't think the teams he's managed have been conducive to his style at all. So yeah, MLS is a great shout, to be honest. Somewhere away that's, fast paced and attacking football and all that stuff.
On your point you just made there, John, about sticking to his principles and everything. 6 games in the last season, people were calling for Ange's head. So he stuck to his principle, and look how that's worked out for us. So Alex Ferguson down at Man United, after the first 2 years there, people were calling for his head. Look what he went on to do, one of the greatest managers in football history with what he did at Man United. So at the end of the day, sometimes it's a what have you done for me now sort of situation rather than what are you going to do and what's the thing to get to. And you could see that when they went to the board in the crowd, they went to a shot and it was like, I don't know if it's still the Agars or whatever it is who run Dundee United, but those guys were sitting there and they go, oh, there's the CEO and the chairman, blah, blah, blah. And they're just sitting there talking to each other, looking all dejected. And as soon as one of them realised on the screen, their eyes are going straight down. I'm like, yeah, sacked in the morning. You just knew it was coming.
Yeah.
You pick at that exact moment, like the way he just dropped his head, like, no, you just tell. But anyway, on to the positives for us. So we had Kyogo, first half hat trick. First Japanese player to have a hat trick since, what was it? The last guy we had, Nakamura, from what I hear. Liam, you might be able to answer that one better.
Didn't Kyogo get a hat trick last season against Dundee? Or am I thinking?
He did, yeah. Against somebody.
Right.
I don't know. I heard that stat somewhere and thought, I'm not too sure. That's why I was double checking.
I think it was the last one to score a hat trick against Dundee United might have been Nakamura.
Yeah, it's probably what it was. Anyway, we'll get on with it. Jota had a goal, Abada hat trick, Juranovic with one. First goal he scored for Celtic that wasn't a penalty. And Sean, you were there to see your mate Carl Starfelt score. I'm not a 3 kicks to try and score it, but a clean header straight in. So what we'll do is I'll throw to you, Sean. Give us the whole story of your day going there, because you put out a tweet beforehand saying that anyone can find Sean on Twitter at Sean Down Under, but it was on Twitter and he's gone, I'm going to Tannadice, I don't have a ticket. So first of all, how'd you get a ticket?
Yeah.
Where were you watching from? And then tell us your overall thoughts on the game from being in the stadium.
Yeah, my dad has some friends that run the supporters bus from East Kilbride, so we managed to get the last 2 empty seats on that bus, and luckily one person that was supposed to be going to the game hadn't showed up, probably too hungover from the start of the night. So I got his ticket straight away. So we had to then try and get a second ticket for my dad, which we managed to get from, I won't chuck this person under the bus, but there was an employee of someone who had a spare comp ticket and came outside the stadium and sold it to us before the game. Didn't really mind, to be honest, that he was getting a free £30, so I'll take it. Got to go both into the game. The first thing that stood out to me was, I don't know if there's a bin strike on Dundee, but in Glasgow it's disgusting just now, and Dundee was even worse. The place is an absolute dive. I walked past Dens Park. Oh my God. If you've not seen it outside of Dens Park, that is a scary sight. You could use it in a horror movie. It's so bad. But yeah, we got in. Same inside, toilets are minging. Place has not been done up in a while. But it was we had the 2 stands, one big stand, I'm guessing where the cameras are, and the shed behind the goal. So it was a great atmosphere. I was right behind the Green Brigade. I was quite surprised how young they were. I see my friend who's kind of one of the lead guys in there. He looked like he was one of the oldest guys, and he's the same age as me. So I was quite surprised at that. But yeah, it was great, man. It was a bit weird to be able to see, like when Kyogo scores the second goal, and I'm like, I can't wait to see the replay of that. I'm like, oh no, wait. And then but even just stuff like being able to see Kyogo moving off the ball, being able to see Matt O'Reilly, what they do when the ball's at the other side, that sort of thing is really interesting to see. Like, you don't normally get that. But yeah, it was really good, man. Like, you don't sit down for the whole game. It's brilliant. And the place, there's a really strong and persistent smell of cannabis smoke, which is nice as well.
That's about right. Yeah.
Even more enjoyable. There you go.
But it also,
So-
they get a lot of, you hear all this stuff about heavy-handed policing and stewarding and stuff like that. I actually felt like they were really standoffish and they let us away with quite a lot, to be honest with you. The only thing that stood out to me was when I was going in, they had my Celtic Down Under flag and they took it off me to hold it up to the control office, the cameras, to check it wasn't anything dodgy. And I'm like, dude, it's my Australian podcast. And he's like, all right, fine, then you go. And that was the only thing. Apart from that, I actually felt they just kind of let us do our thing. There's people standing on the stairs the whole game. Do you know what I mean? Like, I didn't feel it was over-policed like it's often portrayed.
So on that point, though, when you're watching the games, what we're seeing is a lot of still shots in the front of the stands. Like, looks like every 2 meters there's a steward or a security guard or something on the. So to me, it looks like there's a lot going on. But when you're in the stadium, Sean, is it that noticeable or not really?
Not really, no. I mean, you see them, but and the police are there with their cameras. But I don't know what they're doing with that. Do you know what I mean? They're not doing anything during the game. I don't know if they're dealing with stuff after the game. That seems to be the kind of story, is that people get the police showing up at their work on a Monday, which is probably the complaint. But during the actual game, they just kind of let people do really whatever they want because it's just too much to interfere in,
Fair enough. So, Liam, we'll throw to you now. What was your thoughts overall on the game?
Well, actually, before I give my thoughts, Sean, there was one thing I wanted to ask you. You just kind of briefly touched on there, being able to see players moving off the ball and whatever that you wouldn't typically see on the telly. Mm-hmm. Is there any players who maybe you weren't so keen on that your estimation's gone up a bit from seeing what they do off the ball, or vice versa? Any players you're kind of less confident about now that you've seen them in the flesh?
Yeah, the two that stood out in both directions was one, Kyogo. Like, the amount of movement he has off the ball is, I just did not. The last player that has been seen at a live game that changed my estimation in that way was Magic Zdravsky, seeing how much he does off the ball and seeing what Kyogo was doing was like, oh, this guy's even better than I thought he was, kind of thing. Like, I know he's a great player, but being able to see what he's doing off camera makes me even more impressed. And the opposite side of that was Matt O'Reilly, who I was like, this guy does not move much when the ball's away from him. Like, he just kind of strolls about. That was one that was a surprise to me as well.
Typical Ange number 10.
Yeah.
Stay in your central spot, so someone we can play the ball through. Yep, it sounds about right.
And Greg Taylor, I guess, would be on the Kyogo side of things as well. I was amazed at how much he moves and how disciplined he was in his position.
Excellent.
Can I make a pun? I think he's tailor-made for this system.
Yeah.
And also, on what you mentioned, Jared, about my favourite player, I was actually, even before he scored, I was actually commenting how good a game he was having. I thought he was doing brilliant up against Stephen Fletcher. And he would have done, like, the referee was not giving him anything, and he still did a great job and stuck at it the whole game. I thought he was brilliant.
That's the thing, though, because, like, when we're on at Axon, at halftime, people were absolutely slating staff out for that one misplaced back pass that then O'Reilly come and got the diving tackle to save, or the sliding in tackle to save it. And I'm just like, people need to back off him. Like, he's battling. The way I look at it is, yeah, he's misplaced one pass in 45 minutes, but nothing came from it. But the job he was doing going against Fletcher in that battle one-on-one, I was happy with that. I can live with that one little muck-up pass because of the job he was doing.
Do you know, that's the one thing about doing the shows with Axom. It does give you that insight into a certain element of our support. Now, don't get me wrong. 80-90% of the feedback that we were getting through the comments throughout the game was informed and positive, and even when it was critical, it was valid criticisms. But there is just that 10% who just want to moan about anything. I mean, even after we win 9-0, there's still people on there complaining about stuff, and you're like, guys, get a grip, honestly.
It was quite funny in the stands as well. At 9-0, people started booing just for a laugh.
Yeah.
telling Joe Hart to go up for the corner at the end and stuff like that. Joe Hart, get up there, get up there. Yeah.
Oh God! Do you know it's amazing that though? Into my dad said the same thing at full time. There was actually a wee bit of disappointment that we didn't get 10. I'm like, we've just won 9-0. How the hell can we be disappointed? But I understood it, you know.
I found it funny though, Liam, because like I've been saying it for a joke on here for the last year. Oh yeah, we're gonna put 10, so we're gonna get double digits on someone. It's gonna happen, and then it got that close to actually happening. I was like, dude, come on, Telmac. And there was the one that like bounced back into the field because of the spin. I'm like, we could have 11. We had scored 6 in that game. It wouldn't have looked out of the ordinary with how well we were playing. So for me, I was like, we were that close to making me look like Nostradamus over here. Come on.
The Turnbull one that spun off the goal line at a truly Masonic angle. I don't know how that did not go into the net. Like, honestly, I can't believe it.
The question that I keep been getting for the last couple of days is: were Celtic that good, or were Dundee United that bad? And the answer is both. Like if you look at I think it was our third goal, where Matt O'Reilly plays that ball over the top, the first time pass, and I'm watching it and I'm thinking, right, on a highlight reel, this makes Matt O'Reilly look amazing, but against Ross County tonight or against Sevco on Saturday, that ball doesn't hit the ground. Do you know what I mean? Like, a defender cuts that out, and then even the cutback's covered. As a team that's defending well, and then the Starfelt header, free run. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's you've chucked it.
So I say from that point, Sean, they chucked it, and it was like, realistically, once we got those 3 quick goals just before half time, they come out in the second half. We score again early in the second half, and at that point, they just like, you look at their centre back pairing, and it was like one guy was actually defending, the other guy was standing there, the captain pointing, trying to tell guys where to go and what to do. And I'm like, dude, you should be just putting your head, lead by example. You're the captain. Go win some headers. And it was so disjointed after we'd scored those 3 before half time that after that, for me, it was just like, yeah, we were playing well, but they were chucking it.
Do you know, it's funny because if you remember on last week's show when we were talking about our predictions, I think I said 3 or 4-0 to Celtic, but what I said was, now, I was totally off with the score, obviously, but the way the game went was pretty much as I called it, because I said, it'll be the same as Hearts. They'll go and try and shut us out, and as soon as we score a goal, the difference is Hearts are good enough to keep defending, whereas I think Dundee United would crumble as soon as we got a goal. And to their credit, they actually held it for about half an hour after we scored before we scored another one. But as soon as the second goal went in, it was just a question of how many. That was when for about the first 35 minutes, they were actually competitive. But as soon as we got that second goal, they just fell apart completely.
So we've got a couple of questions here from Strangelove the Doctor. But before that, I'm like, Sean showing off his new shirt. Like it. Nice. So Strangelove, I've been thinking about the one-touch stuff we played. How do you prevent it? And the follow-up question is, seriously, what can you do, though?
Not much, really. And you get into the swing of it, it's dangerous, isn't it? That's the sort of football we want to see in the Champions League. That sort of really quick, one-touch, fluid football. And I don't know if you guys watched the post-match with Ange about what he was saying about he's always liked wingers and stuff. And or was that? Oh, it might have been his open goal conversation talk thing. But he was saying he was always like wingers and stuff. And he's not wrong when you see how Celtic use their wingers. It just opens up teams, and absolutely I agree with Liam. After the second goal, I remember saying to somebody, "This could be 7-8-9, easy," and I don't think that's the first time this is going to happen. Maybe not by 9, but we'll see 6, 7, 8 goals again this season if we keep playing like that, for sure.
I wanted to just add a comment, Jared. Maybe you can comment on it after. But like, if you think back to last year, a lot of the players were coming out and saying like, "Oh yeah, Postecoglou is just kind of giving us, telling us to express ourselves and play freely in the attacking thirds." And now it seems like they're playing not that way, but more. I mean, yeah, still, but also more. Like, as if last year was just teaching the shape and the pressing, and this year he's teaching more the attacking style. and that's more of a system-based thing now. Is that what do you reckon, Jared? Am I right there?
That's why I've been saying wait for the second season. So I've been talking about that because, okay, you've got to learn the shape. You've got to get used to it, get your fitness levels up to be able to play it this way. But on top of that, you also got to look at, you're talking about the freedom there, Sean, and the players still have that. If they get the ball and they can beat a man and they can, go in the box or open up for a shot and take it, they do it. Great. You see Juranovic, he makes some runs in. Starfelt made a run in a couple of weeks back where he's run with the ball 40 metres. There's still that freedom within the system, but everyone now knows the system that well they can cover for each other, so things just keep still flowing and the ball moving and everything happens. Where the change this year is okay, we know our system, but then you're playing counters. So if you go to a winger and they overload the winger to try and make him come inside instead of being able to go outside, then we know, okay, where's the space going to be? What's the counter? So our guys make the quick one pass, that one-touch football that Strangely the doctor was talking about. Instead of trying to take 2 or 3 touches and beat a man, it's, all right, I can't go here, bang, next pass. And then you open up where the space is, and now from there, the box is open. You can get a shot from the top of the box. You can make the next pass. You can look for that diagonal ball. So that's, to me, it's the counters on how they defend you and what to do after, which is the more technical parts that I think we've learnt and worked on this off-season, which in turn is making us even more dangerous.
You see them doing the one-touch stuff in the warm-up. Like, it's the exact same stuff in the warm-up as they're doing during the game.
Yeah. That's what you want.
Well, you want to train the way you want to play, so that makes sense.
Never stop all that.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring on something that pretty much everyone would have seen today. It was on Clyde 1 after the Dundee game. I just want to play this for shits and giggles because it's pretty funny to me. So I'll just hit play on this. So it's Tom from Renfrew, who's a Rangers fan.
His game, Celtic and Dundee United. I've got greatest respect for Celtic. I'm a Rangers supporter. The way they're playing, it makes difference at the moment. But what are these young lads going to think about Dundee United? The way they were beaten 4-5-0, yeah, great. But why carry on to 9?
So Celtic should have deliberately stopped scoring.
I wouldn't say stop scoring, but let Dundee United play.
Why?
Well, it's a game of football, is it not?
Is that not the idea? You would just keep playing as you always would, regardless of what the score is?
Yes, but at the same time, why score the 9 goals and humiliate these young lads?
That's a good question, Roger.
Well, as Postecoglou's phrase is, we never stop. And yesterday, they didn't stop. And when it got to 5 or 6 or 7, he sent on 4 substitutes, and they didn't stop.
Were they wrong to not stop? I think that's what Tom's trying to...
No, listen, come next May, this might come down to goal difference, this title. It sounds ludicrous at the end of August. Yeah. But we might be sitting here in May saying, if Celtic had only scored 6, they wouldn't have won the league. So that's why they keep pushing.
Tom, is that not the obvious problem with this? In a hypothetical world, your Rangers team pipped Celtic to the title by a goal on goal difference, and Ange Postecoglou is supposed to say, oh, well, at least we didn't humiliate those poor Dundee United players.
Gordon, this isn't so great. Those young lads in Dundee United and the manager, he's trying to build up that team again. And for that to happen to them yesterday, they don't need that.
What?
Just give them a pat in the back. There you go, pal.
Wow. Where's my bottle of Hunties? I just want to drink it.
Jesus.
My favourite tweet was well done to all the Arabs that stayed to the end of the game, and also the supporters and the players that stayed to the end as well.
That right there sums up exactly why fan media is the way to go. I like the way that they gave him a hard time about his points of view and what he was saying, but strange I was saying that's why I don't listen to the mainstream media in Scotland.
Yeah.
Like, absolute. The fact that gets to air, it's embarrassing, man. Seriously.
My full disclosure, my uncle's a Rangers fan, right? Because that's how the family
What?
are all. Yes, I know. Right? Tainted bloodline. Yeah, so the whole time. Anyway, so now and again I message him just to, either wind each other up, whatever. And the first thing he said is, God, we need to leave Scottish football. So that was him, a Rangers fan, deciding that all Scottish football's a bogey just because Celtic win well. That's it.
Change the offside rule.
Yeah, change the offside rule. That's it. It's all done. Right, we all need to leave.
It really is just the grown-up adult equivalent of like, right, give me the ball, I'm getting home, no one else is playing. I mean, that's how pathetic it is, you know.
Kyogo's jammy, offside rule's broken. Like Dundee United need a bit of help to, you know. They should be allowed to play with 13 players.
Just had to, but yeah, we've got a couple of comments here. Tony Cassidy, turn off Clyde, support your side. Boom. Yep. And then Joseph Ali here, that Sevco fan wouldn't be saying that if it was their team.
That's it.
100%.
They put 8 past Hamilton last year. Did you see it? No.
Of course not. You know, it's not bad for the league then. So, you know, we just have to bring that up because I thought it was pretty funny. And yes, Strange Love, that is real. We put in the comments, that's not real.
Who was it in the English league that literally just won 9-0 as well?
Liverpool.
Yeah.
So is that it? Is English league a bogey as well? Is that's somebody's beat somebody 9-0, so we'll just.
No, but that's the thing. That's probably why. That's probably why he's had that reaction because you know, if you're a Hun, you play Celtic on Saturday, and you play Liverpool a couple of weeks later, and
exactly.
both of those teams have just won 9-0.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no penalties, no own goals. But yeah, the Bournemouth manager got canned as well. Ryan Christie got hooked at half time in that game.
Poor Diddums.
What was it Jeremy Clarkson said? Yeah, that's sad. Anyway, moving on.
Just before we move on, actually, just a quick shout out to Kevin from Sydney who introduced himself to me in Tannadice. It was interesting.
Cool.
He seen the flag and came up and introduced himself. One of our Sydney supporters that was over at Tannadice as well.
Nice.
So maybe we'll see him in November when we're over for the game against Everton.
Yeah, looking forward to it. All right. So, anything else about the game, boys, or should we just crack on to the next couple of topics because we've got a few things to talk about?
I just want to say that Kyogo's second goal is a goal of the season contender right now.
God, so many of them though.
I know. It's a dead heat between him and the Jota one at Kilmarnock just now, but I think just for pure class and like the fact there was almost no backlift, he just stroked it. The Kyogo one just edges it for me at the moment.
Could also mention that Dundee United helped us out by having a really nice playing surface.
Aye.
Yeah.
Like it was really quality. Helped us
and
with
you
the
know,
passing.
this could also be a criticism of them in terms of them giving up, whatever, but kind of, I'm going to say fair play to them for not sticking the boot in when it went 7 or 8-0, because it would be very easy for a team to lose the plot and start just flying in with two-footed tackles, but they didn't. They didn't make it a dirty game even when they were getting trounced. And,
I mean, they did. They split Joe Hart's head open in the first 6 minutes, though. So I don't know.
Oh, no.
Aye, but you know,
You hit him in the chest. There's no contact to the head. It shouldn't have even got a yellow card, according to the.
But you know, that's a daft one though. There is no way under the interpretations of the rules of football, and I don't want to dwell on it because we won 9-0. It's ultimately irrelevant, but that it cannot be a yellow card, right? Either it's an accident, which I think honestly I think it might have been. I don't believe Fletcher was trying it. In which case you play on, nothing happens, right? If it's dangerous play, it's a red card.
Yeah, it was a red card.
It cannot be a yellow card for that kind of tackle. It's either an accident or it's a red card. It cannot be a yellow card. So the referee just doesn't make any sense there at all.
Yep.
Yeah. It didn't really make the highlight reels because of all the goals they had to squeeze in.
Yeah.
I love that tweet from Celtic. Did you see that the next morning? They're like, our unique angle videos take a wee bit longer to put together than usual this week.
The Celtic FC Twitter admin, he had the Spider-Man meme. Did you see it after the game?
Oh, Liverpool
Celtic and Liverpool on each other.
I don't know. I mean, Sean definitely didn't see it, but I don't know if Jared and Liam saw it. But on the stream that I was getting, they kept having to like pan away or switch to a different camera every time they went to staple his head together. God, that looked bad.
Oh yeah.
That looked
Funny
bad.
story on that one, John, because like I had it on stream. My wife watched it the next day because she's been off crook and everything, and she watched it and she's like, they had to staple his head, and I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't even tell her about that, but that was the first thing I saw in the game because with me and Liam being on Axon pre-game, by the time I sat down, had everything ready to go, the very first thing, like 2 seconds later, bang, Joe Hart gets clattered, claret.
Yeah.
Gotta love it. And
Didn't even
norm-
flinch.
normal rule for me would be no blood, no foul. But in this instance, there's blood. It was a foul. But for me, it wasn't, as Liam was saying, it was an accident. So, strange the doctor here is saying unintentional, reckless endangerment.
Yeah.
Clear red card. Now, I'm not 100% of that thought. For me, I'm happy that it wasn't a red because then what would the headlines be? Celtic win 9-0 thanks to early red card for Dundee United. So there would have been that excuse. So I'm glad that didn't happen for that reason only.
I mean,
Yep.
credit to Joe Hart. If he doesn't make that magnificent double save in the first couple of minutes, the game could have gone very differently. You know.
Everyone,
Uh,
literally everyone put in there.
Got a scratch, a mere flesh wound.
We've got a Python quote there. Love it.
Everyone definitely played their part in the game, which is great to see.
All right. So great game. Nine goals. We're still going to get that double digit goal is going to happen. I'm still claiming it's going to happen. Watch this space. But we'll just quickly crack on to a few bits of news. Then we spoke about it last Wednesday about the Champions League draw. We've got the group to go through, so I'll have a quick chat about that. We've got the Ross County game to talk about, and then the Glasgow Derby to still talk about. So we'll get on to it. So Owen Moffat has left Celtic. He's off to Blackpool. Now, for me, he was one I wanted to see try and break into the squad a bit more this season, but the signing of Haksabanovic has pretty much put a kibosh on that. So I'm happy for him to leave and go and make his move and see what happens. The strange thing is he's playing B team football for us, and he's been allocated to Blackpool's B team straight away. So that's the strange part about the move for me, but I hope he doesn't stay long. Key thing is I want us to have a nice hefty chunk of a future fee. So he gets sold, we're getting 30%, whatever, or also have a buyback option. So if he does really well there, we can buy him back, because that's what a lot of the Spanish and German teams do. And I like that idea. You get if we want to buy him back and we've got 30% and say it's £1 million buyback, we're basically paying ourselves 300 grand out of pocket. So we have to pay 700 grand to get him back. So you can be clever like that. But yeah, what are your thoughts, first of all, Sean, on Moffat leaving?
Yeah, it's probably no coincidence that it happens just a few days after Haksabanovic signs. Yeah, it's disappointing because you do want the young Scottish players to come through, but as you say, hopefully we do have some buyback option. Hopefully he does well. Even if he doesn't do well for Celtic, he's Scottish, so I still want him to do well. But it is a weird one.
And Liam, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, pretty much the same. I wish him well. I think it's a shame, but as much as I want to see young Scottish players coming through, not at the expense of having guys like Abada, Jota, or Maeda in the team, or Haksabanovic when he's up to speed. At the end of the day, you want the best Celtic team on the park that there is, and Moffat has the potential to go on to become a great player, but he's not that player right now, and Celtic need that player right now. So, wish him all the best. Hopefully, we do have either a buyback or a hefty sell-on clause, because I think he is a guy that could go on to play at the higher levels in England, certainly, than Blackpool.
John, what's your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, look, much the same, to be honest. Disappointing to see him go. I don't know if I fully subscribe to it was because Haksabanovic just came in and then he's off. Because I think Moffat was somewhere in that grey area between the B team and the first team. It's not like he was a first team regular that just was a bench warmer or anything. I was shocked that it wasn't Mikey Johnson, to be honest, that was out the door. But yeah, same as everybody else, disappointed to see him go, because I thought he would have been definitely a future player for us. But hopefully all the best to him, and yeah, like we were all saying, get a bit of money from him in the future.
So I got a couple of comments from Strange Love the Doctor here. Good luck to the Simply Red singer. Blackpool is really taking off. And yeah, Moffat is good, but at 20, is he a barter good?
See, I was-
That's a good point.
I didn't realise he was 20 until yesterday. I thought he was 18. So he was 18 trying to break in, different story. At age 20, if he's swinging between the B team and, being a bench warmer for us, he's going to get caught out in that Mikey Johnson, Marion Shred sort of winger, not good enough for the first team, but, should be out elsewhere. So, and I brought Shred up because apparently it looks like he's on his way to Shakhtar Donetsk. So we could be seeing him soon.
I'm just going to say, based on what he's saying about Abada there, and when you think about players like Haksabanovic, I think the main difference between players like Moffat and Abada is physical development.
Yep.
Mikey Johnson, Karamoko Dembele, all underdeveloped physically. Look at what Ryan Christie was like before he went to Aberdeen and came back. Like, the difference really here is about being physically ready to play men's football, not about ability.
You're talking about Abada as well, and you look at him and go, yeah, he's like 20, 21, whatever he is, and he's like more physical and stuff. I'm like, he's half my age and he's got a better beard than me, mate. Like, I tell you, he's ready for first team football.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, you look at Moffat, yeah, I get it. So good luck to him. Do well down there and earn us some money down the track. But that ties in with him departing the club. Transfer window closes midnight Thursday night / Friday morning. So do you think any of these guys will leave the club? Albie and a Yeti. We'll just go around as a yes or a no. For me,
Yes.
I think it's on a permanent yes, on a permanent or yes on loan. We'll do it that way.
Loan.
Liam,
Loan with an option to buy.
Johnny.
No, I don't think he'll leave.
Yeah, I'm the same as John. I think he's just going to hang around, just cut his check, just pay me, and I'll just mope around in the background because I don't think anyone will want him as much. Mikey Johnson, Sean.
Loan.
Loan.
No, I don't think he'll go anywhere either.
I think he'll go on loan, but we'll have the option to recall him in January after the World Cup in case someone does well there and a move is on the cards. It does well there in the Champions League. Liam Shaw.
Yeah, I think he'll stay, but not to play.
Yeah, I think possibly another loan move, possibly to a Scottish Premier League team.
That's how I feel. A possible loan.
Okay, I've got a strange thought here. Okay, he's not our homegrown for us, but in terms of UK, he technically counts as a B categorised player or whatever it is for Europe. With Moffat moving on, if Mikey goes on loan and a few others, we're going to need to keep enough of those players to keep the right squad sizes for Europe. So I think we'll actually hang on to him, but he'll probably go on loan or on a permanent in January.
So for the sake of the quota, it'd be better to get a Jetty off the books then, wouldn't it? If we
Exactly.
Oh, just for any reason.
could.
However, talking about the quota, then the next two are both Scottish. So, but James McCarthy doesn't play for Scotland, does he?
No.
No.
But
So they
produced
think
produced by a Scottish club, so I think
yes,
that still
Scottish.
counts.
So it counts, yeah.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of McCarthy? Will he stay or go?
Well, Sunderland just lost their manager, so which is
They've
the one he
appointed
was
one as
to.
well.
Yeah.
You know who they appointed, Sean?
I don't.
Our
was
Paul McCartney.
Who? Sorry.
I'm just getting his name up because I'm hopeless with it as well. But it's
A former Celtic manager.
Tony
Tony
Mowbray.
Mowbray. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I think McCarthy might go. I think we'll sign someone and he'll go.
Yeah, what do you reckon?
Question: is that somebody going to be Barkley? Do we think?
That's in the next topic, Liam. Let's not jump ahead yet.
Sorry.
Did you run sheet? Jesus.
I don't think
Because I was just going to say that my answer to McCarthy staying or going, I think, is conditional on whether we get Barkley or not. Because I think if he comes in, McCarthy goes out.
Yeah.
Because am I not right in thinking that the UEFA rule, anybody who's a UK national would count as a homegrown player in that respect, would they not?
They have come through the academy system at a UK club. So Jens counts as a local because he was at Fulham system.
Aye.
Right.
Because he spent more than 3 years in Fulham system under the age of 19 or 18 or whatever the rule is. So Jens actually counts as a local as well. Johnny?
I think we'll struggle to offload McCarthy, to be honest. And at his age and where he's at in his career, I think he's quite comfortable just sitting and taking a wage, to be honest. So I wouldn't be surprised if we keep him at least until January. So I don't see him going anywhere, to be honest.
So for me, talking about McCarthy and also the last one on the list of players I was going to say, which is Scott Robertson, I think depending on someone coming in, then one of those two will leave, whether it's Robertson or McCarthy. I think we'd rather it be McCarthy because of his age and his wage. But at the same time, Robertson will probably be easier to move out quickly. So what do you guys think about Robertson? Do you think he'll go on loan? Do you think he'll go on a permanent? What are your thoughts, Sean?
I think he's only got 12 months left in his contract, so I'd be surprised if it was a loan. They did that with Ewan Henderson, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't see him being here next year, put it that way. So he's probably just thinking what's best for his own career.
The problem with guys like Robertson and McCarthy is that in the last sort of 6 to 9 months, they've both played so little first-team football that how are they actually going to catch anyone's eye? Who's going to look at them and say, oh, there's a guy we can go for? Because it's a guy who's not played football for so long. It's difficult to catch their attention.
Robertson was on loan last year in the championship or something like that, and he played like 40-odd games at two clubs. So
all right, okay.
He was okay on that front. McCarthy, point. And it's the same theory you're saying there, Liam, about McCarthy is the same thing with the Yeti. I think he needs to go on. If we can't sell him, he needs to go on loan. So he puts himself in the shop window.
Yeah, Jetty's got the motivation of the World Cup as well because Switzerland qualified, didn't they?
I believe so.
Yeah. So he's still got an outside chance if he can go to like a decent, I don't know, Europa League level team or something and go on a wee run. He might get into that squad. So,
what are your thoughts, John? About Robertson.
I think Robertson's away. To be honest, I think he's not really cut it, and he's in and around. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it'd be a loan or a permanent. It wouldn't surprise me if he just sticks around and sees his contract out. But yeah, I think a permanent is probably more likely than a loan. To be fair, he's not quite cut it, so I think he's away.
Yeah, fair enough. So, touching on something Liam said earlier about guys coming in. So, for me, I think we need probably one more player to come in, and I want it to be that other defensive midfielder or someone who can play that role. So the rumours are you've got Ross Barkley. Now, we've just talked about him. He's now a free agent, been released from Chelsea. And apparently he's coming up having a medical yesterday and talking terms with us, but he's also got 4 or 5 other clubs linked with him. So I've got some comments here from Strangelove. I wouldn't sign Barkley. Don't know why, really. It's just I'm suspicious why it was released and why no English teams have snapped him up. So there are other teams that are linked with him in England, like Newcastle, like Everton, which is where he originally came through. Now, the only reason I can think of why I'm not suspicious, I got twofold. For me, one, when I used to play Football Manager, he was always one of the players I'd always signed for Celtic way back when he was young, and he always did well for me. That's not real football, though, so let's put that aside. Second thing is the Joe Hart influence, because when Barkley was breaking into the England team, Joe Hart was the goalkeeper there. And there was that little, they had that bit of crossover there. So I think Joe Hart's probably getting easy saying, hey, you got to get up here. You're 28 years old. This is a place where you can play for a year or two and still get a big move to pay you for the rest of your career. Or if you love it, you could stay long term. Who knows? So I'm not saying it's a no, but it depends on a lot of wages and him willing to come up and put the work in and earn his spot, not just come up and be a big name and expect to be given the world.
I think that a lot of it's going to come down to what Ange actually makes of him when he meets him and talks to him. You know, because I don't think, for example, Ange would have made the mistake that Rangers did last season in signing Aaron Ramsey. I think Ange would have seen right through that and realised, look, we are nobody's training centre, okay? You don't come here just to get yourself fit for the World Cup. So if Barkley is genuine about relaunching his career and getting back to the top level, and he sees Celtic as a way to do that, then it'd be a great signing. But if he is just going to take the Ramsey approach, then he can get to, you know.
Well, he's also been linked with the Crosstown over at Ibrox. He's having talks with Everton as well, so I think he's doing what a free agent would do and just go and talk to all the interested parties. But yeah, he's not my choice of what we do. My choice is the other option we're going to discuss in a couple of minutes, but I just want to get John and Lee and Sean's take on Ross Barkley. What do you think? We'll go to you first, John.
What do I think? I think Barkley never really cut it massively in English football. I think he had one good season, probably for Everton. I can't remember him doing like, you know, absolutely ripping up and as an attacking midfielder, as like a, you know, box to box. I never really remember him scoring 15, 18 goals a season or anything like that. But you know, he has been in and around international level, and he's played for some big teams down in England and stuff. So he's definitely got accolades, or he's definitely been in an environment which is conducive to what you want from a winning mentality. I mean, it's a funny one. It kind of like goes back to the days when we were signing people like Colo Touré and stuff. It's like, do we really want someone who's kind of not made it in English football, therefore they think they're getting it easy by coming up to Scottish football? I don't really want that. I want somebody who wants to reignite their passion of football and you know, same with Rodgers, same with Hart, you know, that type of coming up to Scotland. Or I want someone who's at the beginning of their career and stuff, or, you know, an unknown quantity like we normally get. So if it's for 2 years or 3 years, not a 5-year contract, I would be okay with that. But I also don't want him to be like the highest earner at Celtic, because I don't think he's going to come up here and smash it. So it's one of those ones where I don't really get it, to be honest. But if we're just trying to like get squad depth, I guess he could be a squad player and he'd do quite well.
Sean?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is he's made a career out of being a hard-working player on the pitch, so that might work in his favour if he's coming up here. But everything else that you guys say, I just would echo that.
For me, though, he's not the position we need. Like, if you've got the choice, Matt O'Reilly, with how he's currently playing, and then you've got other guys there. So you've got O'Reilly, you've got Turnbull, who can play in that role. You can always push Kelmack forward. You've got Hatade. I don't think we've got enough options that guys who can play the 10. I don't really think we need him coming in at his height, build, everything for that role. I'd rather us get. I've been saying for a while we're a bit weak in the midfield. We need some more size. I'd rather be getting the other guy we're being linked with. The rumors are floating around, who's a defensive midfielder, because he's a bit more size. So the rumor going around was that we've been linked with an un-Danish central midfielder, defensive midfielder, who plays in the Russian league. Now, doing some looking through, there's two Danish midfielders in the Russian league. One's a winger, the other one's a central defensive midfielder who happens to be at Rubin Kazan.
I knew you were going to say that.
Called Oliver Abildgaard. Now, he's 6'4", says the size. He came through at Aalborg in the Danish Super League, and he's been in Russia for the last 3 seasons. Played a total of 149 games all up, 5 goals. And basically, it looks like if this happens, and it is him, the way Southampton would come to us and sign players all the time, and Liverpool would go to Southampton and sign players all the time, Ruben Kazan's becoming our feeder club from Russia, because that's 3 guys from there in the last 2 seasons. So he looks the part for me, decent size, 26 years old. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, we made the point off air that Ruben Kazan have been relegated, so that's why their kind of squad is getting picked apart. But this guy's only got 1 cap for Denmark, so I'm a bit suspicious in that sense. But yeah, who knows?
You have a look at their list of players, and they've currently got their proper squad, which has a bunch of Russian, Belarusian, 1 Ghanaian, 1 Iraqi, and 1 Moldovan player, and everyone else is Russian or Belarusian in their team. The other guys, there's a Croatian defender whose contract has been suspended. You've got Abelgard, who's under contract but not in the squad. And then you've got another midfielder, Swiss midfielder as well. So these guys are the ones who, obviously because of the war going on and the league and all that sort of stuff, they're, who wants to go live over there when there's all sorts of sanctions and behind the lines and stuff. So, yeah, could be a good signing for us. It gives us what I think we need, which is more height in the midfield. But yeah, if Ange wants him and that's the guy, then go for it.
Near Beton replacement.
Were we not also looking at that? I forget where he's from. Wherever from the Croatian league. We were looking at the Moldovan from the Croatian league.
I don't know.
Anatonasov, something like that.
No, that was proven as false. That was
that? All right.
About 4 clubs being linked with him. They included us and Rangers in it as a package deal, to drum up in English interest.
Well, there you go. Sounds about right.
No, I mean, the thing about the Ruben Kazan thing is, if there are any other players in their team that we want, we could probably get them for a decent negotiation. Because I read a report last week, the Ruben Kazan owner or chairman came out and actually thanked Celtic for paying a fee for Haksabanovic, because apparently with the current thing with non-Russian or Belarusian players being basically free agents essentially with their contracts being suspended, Celtic were under no obligation to pay them anything for them, but they did pay a nominal fee. So there's a bit of goodwill there. So I think from Ruben Kazan's side, they would go the wee extra mile to get that deal over the line.
I heard it was if you've got less than 2 years on your deal, you could just rip it up. If you've got more than 3 years, then the fee has to be paid, but it only has to be a nominal fee. And he had Haksabanovic had 3.5 or 4 years left on his deal, so that's why we had to pay something.
Right, that contradicts what I read, but I mean, yeah, you may well be right.
So Andrew Galea in the comments about Ruben Kazan, we're ripping him off.
No, we're not.
I don't know. But then he's also going, why do we need another defensive mid? Moyen Itaguchi will do the job.
If we just on that, if we buy another this is my opinion, right? If we buy another central defensive midfielder, that's the end of Gucci, in my opinion, because I don't think he's cutting it. And I think if we buy one, that's the end of him. I think he'll be gone.
I don't know how injured he is. That's the issue for me. I think we do need another one for the fact that we need more size. That's the one thing with our midfield. It's great and everything with how mobile we are and the speed and everything we got. But I've been saying for ages, we need a Patrick Vieira mold sort of midfielder, someone who's big but can still play the football Ange wants, has a good touch. I'm hoping this guy can do that. I haven't seen any footage of him playing yet, so I don't know. But, yeah.
Hypothetical devil's advocate question here to the three of you, right? Is Gucci not good enough, or is it just that the other 3 Japanese have been so good since they've come in that he's being unfairly compared to them?
Neither. I haven't seen him.
Could be both.
Yeah.
Because I do think that if it were not for particularly Kyogo and Hatate being as good as they are, and Maeda's done quite well as well. Gucci has not had a bad game when I've seen him play. He just hasn't done anything spectacular, whereas the other three have at different points.
There you go, Liam. Itaguchi hasn't had a crack yet. Such bad luck, but he's quality. Says Andrew.
Spot on, Andrew. Yep, spot on.
Strange Love the Doctor's got a comment here saying, Andrew, I agree, but I would buy a bouncer for the team. He doesn't even need to be a footballer, just a warrior with a thirst for defending the ball is in our squad, and Blutering's Zed in the orbit.
All right. Which Russian team does Ivan Drago play for these days?
the movie The Goon. That's the plot of that movie.
Yeah. So anyway, like for me, if we can get him, I'd bring him in more. With the squad we've got at the moment, I don't even really. If we don't sign anyone else to the end of the window, and we just clear some of those guys out, I'd be happy with what we've got. But if we can round the squad out by bringing in that taller defensive midfielder, great. That's the cream on the cake. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Put it this way, Jared, right? Just looking at the team from the United game, right? Every player on our bench, I'd happily come onto the pitch, apart from McCarthy. Jens, Moy, Turnbull, Barnaby, Seedgrist, Maeda, Forrest, Ralston. I'd happily have any of them start, apart from McCarthy. So that's the one. Yep. That's the last jigsaw piece we need to fill.
And that's why I keep saying we need that defensive midfielder, because I like the fact that Moy comes in and allows Kelmack to step forward. He hasn't had the chance to do that for the last couple of seasons because Bruni's legs left the last year he was there. And then he was going from there. Joseph Elise, are we looking at that 17-year-old from St Mirren? So that's that Reed kid. Now, looks like we are. It could be back on, but the talk was if we signed him, it was either we sign him and loan him back to St Mirren or put him in the B team. So I don't know why he'd give up being around the first team at St Mirren to go play in the Lowland League. So I think if we signed him, he wouldn't make much of a dent in our current squad this year, but it would be probably one for the future where we get him and loan him out back to him for the rest of this season.
Yeah, I'm always in favour of loaning players to other SPL teams if we can, because there's always the chance they'll do something against Rangers.
I mean, I'm in favour of it based on the current system, but I would like us to be in a position where the B team has enough quality opposition and enough structure that we can do better developing them in the B team.
Yeah, agree.
We need to have the same system as they have in Europe with like the German and Spanish leagues. Our B team should be playing like League 1 or League 2. We shouldn't be playing West of Scotland League.
On that subject, they are playing Dunfermline next month, the B team in the Cup.
That'd be an interesting test of whether
that.
The B, I mean, I might be wrong actually here. I'm just thinking out loud here, but they can get promoted, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, actually, I don't know.
I don't think they can actually. No,
they can't because they've entered specifically into the Lowland League, not with the Scottish FA, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they're invited as guests. Celtic and Rangers were invited in there as guest participants. They cannot get promoted or relegated from that league.
Well, ideally, we're saying about Italy and Spain and that, where they can go 2 tiers lower. So for us, it'd be the equivalent of playing League 1.
Yep.
That makes sense. Like, I wish they could go from the Lowland League into League 2, into League 1. That would make sense, but that'd be as high as they can come. In Spain, they can go up to 1 league below whatever the top team's in. In Germany, it's 2 tiers lower.
All right, baby steps though. Well, hopefully it gets there.
I mean, by all means, make them earn it. Make them play their way up from the Lowland League. You know, that would be fair. But the pathway should definitely be there because we're not getting anywhere with this. As Andrew's just saying, the gulf's too deep because we're basically playing part-time football in the B team at the moment.
Yep. So we'll watch this space, I suppose. Transfer window, 48 hours or so, if that, to go on it. Let's just see what happens. We'll move on to the Champions League draw. Now, I've got all the groups here. I just want to go through all of them, and we'll quickly say who you think will be top 2, who'll finish where in each group, okay? Quickly. Group A, Ajax, Liverpool, Napoli, Rangers. Now, we joked last week about picking the worst possible group. And if you were to take Liverpool out of that group and you were to put, say, Chelsea in there or something, it'd be a bunch of guys who'd just be wanting to punch on all the time off the field before games. So I feel bad for the Liverpool fans there, but that's a bit of a rough group. So,
Well,
who do you
actually, I think Rangers, have done well there, because normally you have to pay good money for a good hard pumping in Amsterdam.
So, Sean, what are you thinking with that group? Your thoughts?
I think Ajax are about to lose their best player, so it could be Liverpool and Sevco.
What, top two?
Mhm.
No, I think it'll be Liverpool, Napoli, and then Rangers and Ajax will be playing for third spot. That's my take. What do you reckon, John?
That is exactly how I think also. Yes.
Yeah, Liverpool, Napoli. I agree.
Just out of sheer spite, I'm not giving them anything close to second.
Group
No,
B.
everybody's writing off Napoli. Everybody thinks it's between Rangers and Ajax, but the more I look at it, well, Napoli are what were they, third in Italy last season? You're no mugs if you play at that level,
All right. So Group B, Porto, Atletico Madrid, our mates Leverkusen, and Club Brugge. Who are we thinking is going to be top two in that one? What are you thinking, John?
It's a tough group. I'll go out on a limb and say it will be Leverkusen and Porto in top two.
Who's in third?
Madrid
Atletico.
third, yeah.
Liam?
Atletico and Porto.
Who's third? Who's fourth?
Bruges third, Leverkusen fourth, because they've had a bad start to the season.
No,
Sean?
Leverkusen did well at the weekend there. I could see them sneaking into second, to be honest. Atletico and Leverkusen. Didn't Frimpong score 2 at the weekend?
Don't know. Keep scoring,
Well,
lad.
I don't know.
It's
Last
more
time
money.
I checked, they were like 14th in the league or something, but that was about 10 days ago. So
I think Frimpong's just came back from injury and they spanked someone at the weekend.
So for me, I'd be going Atletico, Leverkusen, Porto, Club Brugge. Group C, my opinion, the worst group of the lot. You've got 3 former winners and Victoria Pilsen. You had Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Inter Milan. Someone's going to drop into the Europa League. So let's look at it and go, whoever drops out of this group into the Europa League is probably the favourite to win the Europa League.
Yeah, about right.
So Bayern and I think Inter will finish top 2, and I think Barca will finish third.
Nah, I think Barca have signed enough players to turn it around a bit. I'm going to say Inter or third.
Bayern top, Inter second, Barca third. Pilsen to get passed around like currency.
There's a really good meme that'll send you offline about that.
I think I've seen it.
Hey, Johnny?
Yeah, no, I agree with Liam there. That's the order I'd go in as well.
Group D, Eintracht Frankfurt, Tottenham, Sporting Lisbon, Marseille. I reckon that's a tough group for me where there's no real standout team. Marseille's got some financial problems. They're trying to move guys on. Sporting are always punch above their weight there. And Eintracht Frankfurt, the Europa League winners. Tottenham's got Premier League money behind them. So, I don't know. It's a tough one. Oh, Sean, what are your thoughts?
I mean, Tottenham will stroll it. It's just who's going to be next.
It's the opposite of Group C, isn't it? Where you've got one obvious team that's going to come last. This one, you've got an obvious team that's going to win it. So for me, yeah, Tottenham top, but then I think either Sporting or Eintracht Frankfurt for second, and the other one of them will third. Marseille will come last. Liam?
It's a tricky one. Spurs will win it, but it's who's going to go through with them. I'm going to say Sporting. Spurs and then Sporting, and Frankfurt to go into the Europa League.
Defend their title.
Aye.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I'll also say Tottenham and Sporting for 1 and 2. And I'll say Marseille for third and Frankfurt for last.
Group E, Milan, Chelsea, RB Salzburg, and Dinamo Zagreb. So I'm looking at that going, Zagreb will come last. Milan and Chelsea top 2, yeah, and then Salzburg will come third.
Yeah, Chelsea will win it. Milan come. I actually watched the Milan game at the weekend. They were pretty good. A couple of good strikers in Leao and Giroud. So, yeah, Milan and Chelsea.
Yeah, Milan, Chelsea, but I think Zagreb will get third.
So you're saying Salzburg's going to come last and be knocked out?
Yep.
Okay, Johnny.
Chelsea, Milan, Salzburg, Zagreb.
Group F, the only group that matters. Real Madrid, defending champions, RB Leipzig, Shakhtar Donetsk, and the greatest football team on God's green earth, Celtic Football Club. So, I think the best thing is we haven't been in the Champions League, for 4 or 5 years? And our first game back in the comp is against the defending champs. How bloody good is that?
I know.
So for me, Real Madrid and us will be going through. Leipzig third, Donetsk fourth. That's how it's going to play out. Reason is, everyone is going to be writing off their points against Madrid. So if we can get those points on them, pick up a point at Celtic Park or in the first game against them, and then we can, take care of the business against Donetsk and home and away, then it's going to be a head-to-head on us and Leipzig for second. That's the way I'm looking at it. And I think, they struggled to beat Rangers last season. They've got Timo Werner back, but striker doesn't make a team. So I think we're still a chance. We're a chance to beat them at home and pick up a point away, and that'll get a second spot. Sean?
It's tough. Because Leipzig and Shakhtar are going to be playing each other in the final game. So they are both going to kind of go into that game knowing what they need. And we're just kind of looking for bonus points in our final game away to Real Madrid. So we really need to get things done in the first 5 games. So it's going to be tough in that sense. But yeah. Yeah, I don't see it, man. I see Madrid and Leipzig. I'd love for it to be us, but I think we're third.
Liam?
Right. Okay. Madrid will win it, obviously. We will get second. Shakhtar will get third. Leipzig, I think, when I saw them play against Rangers, I thought they're a good team, but there are flaws there that can be exploited. And the way that both Celtic and, from what I've seen of them, Shakhtar approach the games, that is the kind of teams that Leipzig do not want to play. Teams that will come at them relentlessly. So, yeah, I think Madrid, Celtic, Shakhtar, then Leipzig.
Johnny?
Okay, so
Comments for you if you want.
I think a lot of us are potentially counting our chickens before they hatch, so to speak. I think this is a much tougher group than a lot are willing to accept. I absolutely agree with Sean here. I think it'd be fantastic if we finish second. I think there's a chance of it happening. In no way am I saying that there is no chance for us to finish second, but I think third is the most realistic, and even then, it's not guaranteed. I think a lot of us talking about as if things are guaranteed and stuff. We'll just beat Shakhtar home and away, and we'll just get points over here, and we'll just do that. And I think it's going to be. I think obviously, barring Madrid here, because that's just, if we can get 1 point from those games, that'd be fantastic. But none of our oppositions are mugs here. So yeah, I think we just need to be dead careful with our expectations. Football after Christmas is the absolute priority, right? Everything else is just a bonus.
Well, that ties into what I was going to bring up. Is strange. The doctor's comment was, "I don't like predicting things. I just want to be European football after Christmas."
Yeah, biggest priority.
Andrew Lee's comment was, "The draw couldn't be better." Vanessa has said, "Happy to finish third." And Andrews responded, the first game they scouted to him at Real Madrid was our 9-0. He's followed that up with, we'll be having a crack at least in every game. So, yes, I agree with that. So,
Do you know, the articles that have come out and the stories from about, the Madrid manager, I can't remember his name. Is it?
Carlo Ancelotti.
Ancelotti, thank you. Ancelotti saying, don't overestimate Celtic. I think Real Madrid will play a B team. Fuck, I don't think they're giving two shits what happens in the group. They're kind of guaranteed to go through anyway. They just need to turn up almost. But it's nice, isn't it?
The thing with Real Madrid, though, is they did the same last year. They build as the tournament goes on. And that's how Sheriff Tiraspol took points off them.
Yeah.
Or beat them or whatever it was last year in the qualifiers. So, Sean, you look like you had something you wanted to say.
Yes, I was just looking at the results. In Leipzig won 8-0 at the weekend. It was a cup game, to be fair, so it wasn't a top flight game, but they still won 8-0. And Shakhtar have had some pretty unimpressive results in their pre-season. They got felt up by Ajax and Roma, had draws with Utrecht and Fortuna, the Dutch teams. So Shakhtar are definitely there to be got at. And Real Madrid, as you say, they're obviously the best team in Europe, officially. So it just depends. Kind of Sheriff beat them in the Bernabeu last year, so you can still get them on their day, but they are still the best team in Europe. And if they're in the mood, you're going to get done.
Yeah.
Hey, you look at it, Modric and Cruz and those sort of guys in the midfield are starting to slow down. They've sold Casemiro, but they've still got a peak Benzema up front. So our defense is kind of slack against him.
My second wish, no demands, my second wish after Christmas after all is I just don't want repeats of Barcelona and PSG last time we played those. I don't want to be in the receiving end of a 9-0 because that just hurts for days, weeks. I can't be taking them. So
Come on, Johnny.
Head held high, even if we get beat by Madrid. I want good performances.
What have we all been saying for the last bit? Ange would rather win or lose 5-4 than have a 1-0. So at least, we're going to have a crack at these teams. We saw it last year away at was it Leverkusen last year and away at Betis. And then Andrew here saying our press will surprise teams, the intensity of that. So I can see it's I'm not worried about us scoring goals. It's about, all right, because of our press, how we're going to be exposed with them going the other way and the step up of talent actually attacking us compared to what we used to do week in, week out in the league.
Yeah.
Do you know what I would add though? Just one wee thing. I mean, I it's done now. I predicted Celtic are going to get second, but you take Madrid out of the equation. I think any of those three teams could get second potentially.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They're all. There's not much to pick between the three of them, which is from a neutral's point of view, which we are not obviously, but from a neutral's point of view, it's a very, very interesting group.
As much as the press is great, it works a lot better against Ryan Edwards of Dundee United than it does against whoever Real Madrid have got playing in their back four.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's the big boy league, isn't it? That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll leave our group there and we'll go to Group G. Man City, Sevilla, Dortmund, Copenhagen. So for me, that's going to be Man City and Dortmund going through, Sevilla going into the Europa League, Copenhagen. Sorry, Matt Ryan, you Australian legendary goalkeeper. You're not playing in Europe after Christmas.
Sevilla and Dortmund are kind of up and down teams, so I could actually see it being Sevilla this year because Dortmund have lost a few, and obviously Man City.
Man City obviously to win the group. I'm going to go for Sevilla for second just because I think Dortmund have not replaced Haaland properly yet.
And I agree with all of that also.
Copenhagen will be fourth.
Yes, agreed. That's how exactly
I'm going to call something weird here, Liam. If Dortmund can make a signing of a new striker because you say they need to replace Haaland, still haven't replaced him properly, transfer window open for another 24, 48 hours, and there's a club called Lyon who are trying to sell a former Celtic striker by the name of Moussa Dembele. If they were to pick him up into that team, would that be enough to move him up in the second foyer?
Well, he likes a goal against Man City, doesn't he? That would make things interesting. I would maybe revisit my predictions there.
I actually
I'll
think
stick
that
with what
for
I've
him.
said for now, but I might revisit it.
And then Group H, PSG, Juventus, Benfica, Maccabi Haifa. There you go. I always struggle with that word. Sean, go to you.
It depends how Benfica have spent all that stupid money that they got from Liverpool, but it's hard to see past PSG and Juventus there, given that Benfica are transitioning their squad this year.
Liam?
I'm going to go PSG and Benfica. I think Benfica could be the surprise package of this year's tournament. I watched the way they absolutely demolished Dynamo Kiev, and I thought, this is a team that people are underestimating. So
Juventus to drop into the Europa League. That's Liam's hot take, everyone.
Yep.
Both of the Red Bull teams are going to finish last in their group, and Juventus is going to drop into the Europa League. That's Liam's predictions.
Yep. Get that recorded and get it played back on whatever Rangers podcast you have in a week's time, just to fucking rub my face in it. Go on.
Johnny?
PSG, Juventus, Benfica, and then Maccabi for me.
Same for me. So Champions League starting up next week. Let's get after it, Celtic. Can't wait to see, Champions League football back at Celtic Park. The disco lights going, the banner being waved around with the song playing, a proper group stage game, because we don't play it during the qualifiers, and it'll be good fun.
Yeah, bit electric. I'm jealous that I'm not there. Hope everyone has a good time.
So we're going to preview tonight's game against Ross County in the League Cup. Real quickly, got a question here. How many changes will we make for Ross County? We'll go to you, Sean.
There was two things that Brendan Rodgers said that stick with me to this day that I still agree with. One was to always make your subs on the hour mark, and the second one was don't make too many changes for a game. You shouldn't be making more than 3 or 4 changes for a game. So I don't want to see wholesale changes, but I do want to see the likes of Ralston coming in and Giacomakis coming in. And I'm not sure who else, to be honest, would be the other one.
This one, Seagrass to start tonight?
Yes, but I wouldn't count the goalkeeper, really. I was thinking outfield players. Seagrass starts, mainly because Joe Hart could do with a bit of protection from his gaping wound on his head. But yeah, that's definitely one.
So you're saying not to make wholesale changes, and then we've got a comment here from Josep Ali going, Seagrass, Ralston, Welsh, Jens Starfelt, one of those two, Bernabe, Moy, Hatade and Turnbull, and then Abada, GG and Maeda is his side.
Yeah, it's like 8 changes. That's too much.
Yeah.
How many changes is it exactly? 1, 2, 3. If it's Jens, it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, because Maeda was on the bench. So 9.
Now, I think Carter Vickers, Kalmack, and Hatate will play, because those 3 are like the spine of the team. You can make changes around that. I think Bernabe could come in. I think Ralston will definitely come in. Up front, Abada will start, because you can't drop a guy after scoring a hat trick. Although
we're about to do it to Kyogo.
We're about to do it to Kyogo. I've just realised that. I've just made a complete arse of myself. I'm sorry. I can't even blame it on the drink this early in the evening. Kyogo out for Giacomakis. No, I think Jota will play at least some part of the game, because he's a guy that kind of plays with momentum, and he's going to want to keep that momentum going. Yeah. So I think he will maybe go on, and if we're well ahead, he might come off at half time, and it might come off at the hour mark, as Sean said.
Yeah, John, what are you thinking?
Yep, I can't disagree with anything that's been said so far. Seagrass is for me a surety to be starting. Across the front three, Maeda, GG, Abada, most probably. I would probably say that Hatate and McGregor are going to start, maybe Turnbull instead of O'Reilly. I see Taylor starting because I think he does good with momentum. I probably see Starfelt getting replaced with Jens. I don't think we'll see Carter Vickers being dropped, and I'll probably say Ralston starting as well. So some changes, but I think it's mostly a difference between who starts and who comes on, rather than like wholesale changes and that's it. That's just what it's going to be, because all these players tend to get on anyway. And it's
As we've been saying, John, it's a squad game. It's not about who starts or who ends the game. It's overall for us. We've got that deeper squad that it's interchangeable. So for me, the key things are Joe Hart won't play. I got to give him that extra couple of days for his stitches and everything, his head to sort out. So Segrist will get his first game for us.
Yep.
I'd like to see Ralston come in, give Juranovic a break. Give him a break. I'd like to see Taylor can start, but I reckon Bernabei will come on a bit later on, get some more run into his legs. I want to see Moy get a start, try and get 60-plus minutes into him, build him up. So whether that's Hatate or McGregor gets a breather, it doesn't bother me either way. And the question about GG is he recovered from his illness on the weekend?
Apparently he is.
Because if he is, you'd play him. If not, I'd be playing Maeda up front because see if you can get more than one touch up there. And as a striker, you have Kyogo on the bench. But then is Haksabanovic going to make the squad? Is he going to come on? You reckon he'll be out for a while?
Yeah, it was when he first signed, the message was he won't be playing for the first 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, yeah, I think there'll be probably 4 outfield players plus the goalkeeper. But, yeah, that's about it. And score predictions, boys, for that one. League Cup, so as long as we win, that's the main thing.
2-0. Goal difference doesn't matter. Protect the players.
3-0.
I mean, we'll not see a performance like we did against Dundee United. So, I will also say 3-0 and a comfortable one.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Who's the referee? That's the real question. Nah. Yeah, probably 2 or 3-0. Or if it's, I think it's gonna be a 2-goal difference sort of thing. So it'll probably be 3-1 or 2-0. All right, and then we've got the Glasgow Derby on Saturday. So we'll keep it nice and quick. We could go on about this for ages, but this show will end up being 2.5 hours long if we really deep dive into it. So I think the key things are, I've got a few little talking points for it, and then we'll just leave it, let it stew for a few days. We've got another game to get through before then anyway. So predicted starting lineups. Do you think there'll be any changes from the weekend's Dundee United squad going into that game? What are your thoughts on that, Sean?
The only possible one would be, in my mind, would be Maeda instead of Abada. But apart from that, it would be the same.
That's exactly what I was thinking. John, Liam, anything else?
Possibility of Jens for Starfelt. Depending on how attacking we want our centre-backs to be. I know Starfelt has scored 2 goals recently, but Jens, I think, is a better attacking option.
Yeah, I agree with that, but I think just Starfelt has looked more comfortable. I mean, although Jens hasn't done anything wrong at all, it just appears Starfelt appears a bit more comfortable around there. But that's just me being silly, subjective opinion and stuff. The only extra comment I'll make, because I agree with the formation and the players and all that stuff. I agree with all that. I think it's going to be a real cracking derby, to be honest, more than it has been in a while, because it's basically not a training game, but it's like it's a derby before both teams go into the Champions League, which neither have been in for a very, very long time. So it's going to be, both teams are going to be right up for it. Do you know what I mean?
It's the appetizer before the main course.
Yeah.
There you go. Starfelt is a goal scoring machine.
Yep, sure.
Well, he
Yeah.
scored 2 more goals for Celtic than I have, so you know.
All right. So, next topic. Nick Walsh to referee the game. Now, this is a post I saw. It's an interesting one. It's an ongoing failure of the SFA to manage a conflict of interest in allocating referees to senior matches. Walsh is a PE teacher and deputy head of Bearsden School that educates and coaches Rangers youth players in partnership with the club. Yet he's been appointed to referee this game. Your thoughts?
I heard it was I seen Beauclair Academy, but yeah, I don't know what the actual, regardless of what the school is. Yeah, it's a school that's in partnership with Rangers, Sevco. Yeah, and look, is it any worse than Bobby Madden being a season ticket holder? Is it any worse than John Beaton drinking in the Bellshill Loyal? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, Beauclair Academy. There you go.
yeah. Is it any worse than Andrew Dallas and his dad, who's clearly biased? Is it any worse than Stephen McLean, whose brother played for Sevco? You know, like Rangers. Sorry, not Sevco. There's 4 just off the top of my head that have clear ties to Rangers. Like, not just they probably support them. No. There's a clear and obvious and tangible tie there. What can you do? Do you know what I mean, pick your poison? You just have to be better than the 12 men in front of you.
Yeah. So this is the point that's saying a lot of. Check out his red card record.
Yeah.
He's very quick on the trigger with that. And if we all think this game's going to be as fiery as we think it's going to be, both teams being G'd up, them being 2 points behind us, we win this, we're 5 points clear, and then we're going in the Champions League during the week. Both teams are going to be pretty fired up for it. The excitement levels, it's going to be through the roof to have a referee with a quick trigger on his red cards. Yeah, I don't know if that favours us or them, or especially with the way he's inclined. So, yeah, it's just going to be... Just say, normally we do zombie watch. Let's just do ref watch on him because I don't expect to see shenanigans, but at the same time, I kind of think there will be.
Is the chubby Colombian suspended? Because it would be easier if he's not playing, right? For the referee.
Yeah, he's not in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rumor is he's never playing for Rangers again.
Well, in that case, maybe there won't be a red. But John Lundstrom's another one to watch. Yeah, that's another one. Yeah.
No, I mean, I'll always go back to that Jock Stein quote. You know, when you play against Rangers, you're playing against 12 men, as Sean said a minute ago. I don't think the referee comes into it. I really don't, because you know, if we win, as I fully expect we will, by this time on Saturday, all our zombie equivalents, shall we say, on the Rangers side of the fan media are going to be that Finian B. Walsh. You know, that's the reality of it. You know, the referee is only as bad as the result is for whoever's playing. You know.
So we've got a couple of comments here. Andrew Glave, Starfelt gets a yellow, I'd stop him immediately.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Stranger the Doctor, Kolak is also a diver.
So is Ryan Kidd.
Yep, exactly. So I don't know. It's going to be your typical Glasgow derby. It's going to be flashpoints. There's going to be things to talk about around the water cooler on Monday. But at the end of the day, as long as we come out of it with the 3 points, that's all that matters for me.
That Cholak's the only one of them that worries me. He actually looks like a player.
Yeah.
So, next question. Any particular matchups in the game that you guys want to keep an eye on?
Yeah, Cholak versus Starfelt, which has been alluded to. And the other one's basically going to be our wingers versus their fullbacks, which we touched on in the previous derbies, didn't we, Jared? And it's not really told so much to now. But it might in the future.
For me, it's the midfield battle. They've got a lot of guys who kick lumps and leave boots in, where we tend to be more technical and try to play fast and play through. But if the refs, quickly on his whistle, stop, start the game, that suits them more than it suits us. So it depends how that battle is allowed to play out. is something that I want to keep an eye on.
Yeah, because Lundstrom's going to get a free hit on someone, and Callum McGregor's calf in the first 20 minutes, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Or Mikey.
Yeah.
We've got 5 subs. Do we put McCarthy out there for the first 20 minutes just to take that lump? And, and then
It's not a bad idea.
sacrificial lamb. There you go. Yeah, so then we've got score predictions, boys. What are you expecting for the game? We'll go Liam first.
I'm going to say, in line with what we discussed at the weekend, Jared, I'm going to go 5-2 to Celtic.
Good God.
I think all the previous games have been 2-1s and 1 eaches, so I'm going to say this is a 2-1 to Celtic.
Johnny?
Just to be different, then. Just to be different. I'll say 3-1 because I reckon it's going to be like a 2-1, 1-0 also. But I'll go 3-1.
Okay. Zombies, if you're tuning in to get a clip, here you go. This is for you, okay? Thank you for tuning in and giving us an extra view, an extra like, an extra download, all that, because, it's all good at the end of the day. But this up yours is for you, and we're going to beat you 6-0.
Another demolition derby.
Hold on a minute, Jared. I've just got to go and get some more tissues. I'll be right back.
Gogo's going back-to-back hat-trick. There it is.
Oh.
I can't see Goldson keeping up with him.
Well, he doesn't have to. He just has to pull him back, and the referee will shrug it off.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. So last thing for it is, where will you be watching the game from? So will you be at the stadium? Oh, Sean, you've got an event. That's why I did this for you. I'll be watching this from my couch CFC out in my lounge room, or I'll be watching it down at the Melbourne number 1 CSC Turf Bar in town. So if anyone in Melbourne is looking for a place to watch a game, that's where it is. The other CSC is already all sold out. Where are you going to watch it, Johnny?
I am either going to go up to the Gap Football Club and watch it with the Brisbane Celtic Sports Club.
Top bloke.
Or
I'm
just going
to have him.
Yep. All right, we'll do. Or I'm just going to have beers here and sit in the fucking house. But that's kind of boring. I kind of like going to places for the derby game, so I'll go up. Gap's quite far away, but I'll give it a shot.
Ahead of my trip to Scotland in December, I am going to be stepping up my wife's English education by having her come over here in the afternoon, listen to some Rebel songs, and then watching the Celtic game. So, all in the name of language education,
Get her learning the fields and stuff like that, and a few of the other choice songs.
Hopefully, it's not just the Huns getting pumped on Saturday night.
Oh.
Very good.
And Sean, what's the go with you, sir?
I'm going to my brother's wedding, whose ceremony starts at 1:15. So I might catch a little bit of the first half, and I might be side-eyeing my phone during the ceremony. I was thinking about avoiding the score and try to watch it later, but I really just don't know when I'm going to get a chance to watch it later. So I'm not going to torture myself. I'm just going to find out the score and then try and watch it back.
I can just picture the ceremony on Saturday. The priest is going to be like, "Do you take this man?" And all you hear in the background is like, "Yes, Kyogo, get in there!"
Yes, get in.
Yeah. You hear a murmur through the crowd as all the Catholics start telling each other.
So we've got a few comments here. Dermot's throwing in, I want 10. Yep, there it is. Someone's starting to drink my Kool-Aid here. Michael Ross, a win's a win. Win by any kind. Then we've got Andrew Glay's going to be watching it from his caravan in Port Campbell. Then you got Strange Love sending some love Liam's way. We should hook up for a pint when you're over here.
Look forward to it, mate. Absolutely.
And then there's another person who's commented, "Jam it, mate. I'm not sharing that post because of a certain symbol on your message. Yeah. Keep that swastika shit away." And yeah. Other than that, it's a bit of a downer. So let's go to our final thoughts for the pod. So, Sean.
One thing I've learned coming back to Scotland is that Lynx Africa shower gel is a different colour here than it is in Australia. It's green here and red in Australia. Doesn't make sense.
What a great final thought.
It doesn't make any sense. It smells the same.
You think that's bad? In Japan, it's called Axe.
Yeah, it's America stuff. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, final thought, Liam.
Final thought. Okay, slightly political here. Rest in peace, Mikhail Gorbachev, guy who did a hell of a lot to bring about the end of the Cold War. Not a universally loved guy, but a guy who put the good of the world ahead of his own political career and deserves a bit of credit for that.
And Johnny?
Yes, all right. Well, as always, my music recommendation, and in honour of the Champions League draw, I've gone with a Turkish band. I was going to say team there. A Turkish band, because obviously we know Istanbul is on all of our cards. The name is Altin Gun, and they're psychedelic punk, psychedelic folk even. Yeah, and it's honestly, listen to any song and it sounds like any sort of modern psychedelic from the Middle East, really. Yeah, very good. Altin Gun.
And for me, I just want to give a shout out to hospital workers out there and ambulance staff in particular, paramedics who come to your houses, because, yeah, with the way the world's been lately, the last few years with pandemics and people going in there and health issues that I've got going on in my family and that, I think you're all underappreciated for what you do. So I know it's Liam's gone political, John's gone Turkish music, so I'm just giving a shout out to those sort of people. So keep doing what you do. Thanks for what you do. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it. Let's get a couple of wins this week, Celtic, and we'll talk to you next week. Hail, hail.
Hell, hell.
Hell, hell.
Wait.